Hey guys, welcome to Pantry Living. Today we are making one of my favorite recipes, healthy apple crisp. Lower on carbs, lower on sugar, amazing on taste. We're gonna get right into it here, and the big, most time consuming part is of course preparing your apples. You need 6 cups of apples. It really is your preference whether you do skins on or off. I am taking the skins off on these particular ones because it comes from a tree on our property that I know the skins have a very tart taste and nobody really likes it. So we're peeling, slicing, and then we're going to just submerge them in some lemon water to keep them from going brown until we're ready to go. Apple crisp is definitely a comfort food, and it is one of those things that's nice and quick and easy to make as opposed to an apple pie. I love a good apple pie as well, don't get me wrong, but it seems like my go-to is crisp. I can make that decision last minute and just go for it. No problem at all. Now we have the worst of the job done. Apples are all cut up and you can see, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch thick slices is what we're at. And we want those 6 cups. Next step for me is I'm going to mix everything in this bowl, put all the ingredients in, and then I'm going to cook it in its pan in the oven for maybe 10-15 minutes at the 350. By the way, preheat your oven 350. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the video. I don't know if I normally do or not, but anyways. So what you're going to need to add to these apples is 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. It's just to kind of thicken up the next ingredient just a little bit. You're going to want 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Now, I don't do a full 1/4 cup because we are going to be adding, as always, you guys are probably getting used to this, a little bit of our green stevia powder. Now, one thing that I will say, as many of you know, we are trying to do less sugar, less carbs, and watch the pre-diabetic conditions that I seem to have. So using that green stevia that we grow out in the garden and dehydrate just cuts those sugar carbs out so much in our diet. And it's amazing when you just do a little bit here or there in those sauces where it would have been 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, for example, or something like that. It makes a big difference and it adds up. That's what I will say. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about this recipe while we're having this little conversation is we use almond flour. Now, if you're not watching the carbs or anything like that, you could certainly sub in a whole wheat flour or an oat flour or whatever works for you to be either gluten-free or regular if you want. We're basically just trying to coat everything, make sure those spices are all mixed around. Oh gosh, it smells so good already. That looks pretty good. I'm using an 8 by 11 pan. And you can see that nicely fills that up. And now we're going to slide it in the oven for 15 minutes. Now, best use of time, of course, while that's in the oven is to make our crumble topping. It, again, like I said, is almond flour and oats. Those are your main ingredients. But the other thing that's in here that gives it that crunch, almost like my granola recipe, to be honest, is nuts. I like to use almonds and walnuts chopped up. Again, we're coming back to that. I should just buy nuts that are already chopped. But anyways, that's where we're at. We're going to chop up those nuts, get everything into the bowl here. You're going to need 1 cup of oats, 1/2 cup of almond flour, 1/2 cup of nuts. Now you could up that if you want to. That's completely up to you. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I absolutely love cinnamon. And the other thing is cinnamon is really, really great for helping with blood sugar. So we try to put it in anywhere we can. Smoothies, Dutch baby pancakes, all sorts of goodies, even in our teas, everything. We try and get as much cinnamon in as possible. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of melted butter. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of our green stevia powder just to put a little bit more sweet flavor into this granola topping. Our apples have had about 20 minutes in the oven covered with that piece of tin foil, so they've been able to steam. I can hear that they're bubbling away. And while they were in the oven, I cut up some of our Canada crookneck squash to make squash fries tonight to go with our marinating lamb chops. Super excited for that. And then we're having our apple crisp for dessert. So let's take this off. Oh, yum, yum. We're going to give it a stir, and then we're going to put our apple crumble on top, and it's going to go back into the oven, still at that 350 for another 20 to 25 minutes. You want that golden brown crispy topping, right? Now, one thing is you do not really want to pack this topping in because the lighter it is, the more crunchy bits you're going to get. So there we go. Scrape off the spoon because we don't want to waste any of this valuable stuff. And into the oven it goes. Look at that. It is wonderful. Our apples are just a bubbling in there. It looks nice and golden brown on top. I can't wait to try it. Well, guys, there it is. We just finished our dinner of lamb chops and squash fries, and I'll be honest, I'm a little bit full, so not really going to dish it up right now. I am going to give it a try here for you right now on the camera and let you know just how tasty it is. Now, I know it's going to be great, but you try it and you tell me what you think. Moment of truth. One thing I'm noticing before I even try it, this particular apple tree produces a very dry apple. That's why they're not the best fresh eating apple. They're very, very dry. And I'm noticing my crisp is very dry. I needed a bit more liquid in those apples, but it just depends on the apples as to whether, you've got that moisture or not. Let's give it a try. So much apple flavor, and I love the crunchy nuts. It's perfect. Anyways, maybe I will have dessert now instead.